I was going to make me a sandwich.
You got 2 to do.
I'm mine already.
Here we go. 3, 2, 1.
Boom! And welcome to Today, brought to you by Boss Shot Shells. I'm Jeff Stanfield with the world famous Andy Shaver.
Happy to be here. Happy to be here. April 23rd.
Yep.
Correct?
Yep. My event, one of the stupidest marketing deals ever happened on April 23rd. The dumbest marketing in the history of the United States, probably.
Okay. Is it the Pepsi Jet commercial where you could win a jet by drinking enough Pepsi?
Stupider than that.
Wow. You know they reneged on that.
Yes.
The guy didn't get his jet and he drank all the Pepsi. Huh.
Well, he didn't drink all the Pepsi. He got a lot of different, he was buying Pepsi and getting the points for it.
He did what he needed to do.
Well, I understand that.
He should have won the jet.
I agree with you on that. It's kind of like the girl that worked at Hooters and they gave a Toyota away to whoever did so much. And when she got her gift,
Fake
they
one?
gave her a Toyota.
I'll be damned.
Instead of a Toyota, they gave her a Toyota from Star Wars. She was not very impressed.
I would not be either.
This is the biggest rebrand, stupidest thing ever done.
New Coke.
Yes. Happened on April 23rd, 1985. I was in high school when this happened.
Yeah.
And I'll never forget this. I had a girl, I'm not going to say her last name because I don't even know if she's still alive. Her name's Tammy, though. Tammy came into class and she was having a petition for us to sign about New Coke. Mm-hmm. It just floored her. Well, she was one of 40,000 people a day that were calling Coca-Cola's offices. So anyways, what happened was New Coke was the official name of a reformulation of the soft drink Coca-Cola, introduced by Coke in April of 1985. It was renamed Coke 2 in 1990 and discontinued in July 2002. By 1985, Coca-Cola had been losing market shares to diet soft drinks and non-cola beverages for several years. Blind taste tests suggested that consumers preferred the sweeter taste of Pepsi, so the Coke recipe was reformulated. The American public reacted negatively, and New Coke was considered a major failure.
Flop. You can't even get New Coke anymore, can you?
No, they don't sell it no more.
No more?
And I remember when it was Coke Classic and the other one.
Uh-huh.
Coca-Cola's senior executive commissioned a secret project headed by marketing vice president Sergio Zyman and Coca-Cola USA president Brian Dyson to create a new flavor for Coke. The project was named Project Kansas from a photo of Kansas journalist William and Allen White drinking a Coke. The image had been used extensively in Coke advertising hung on several executives' walls. The sweeter cola overwhelmingly beat both regular Coke and Pepsi in taste tests, surveys, and focus groups.
They lied.
The southeastern United States, one of Coke's strongest and most reliable markets, narrowly preferred the new flavor. This preference widened across once the testers revealed the new taste was also a Coke product. One bottling company threatened to sue the company if it did not put the drink on the market. Asked if they would buy and drink the product if it were Coca-Cola, and most testers said they would, although said it would take some getting used to. 10 to 12% of testers felt angry and alienated at the thought, said they might stop drinking Coke altogether. I can't imagine Coke, any kind of soft drink makes that big a difference in your life.
It did.
I know. Management rejected an idea to make and sell the new flavor as a separate variety of Coke. The company's bottlers were already complaining about absorbing other recent additions into the product line since '82. After the introduction of Diet Coke, Cherry Coke was launched nationally, nearly concurrently with New Coke during '85. Many bottling companies had sued over the company's syrup pricing policies. A new variety of Coke in competition with the main variety could also have cannibalized Coke sales and increased the proportion of Pepsi drinkers relative to Coke drinkers. So anyways, this guy here, this one of the president guy, early in his career with Coke, had been in charge of the Bahamas subsidiary. He had improved sales by tweaking the drink's flavor slightly, and so was receptive to the idea of changing the flavor of Coke. So you got the number one selling soft drink in the world. Mm-hmm. And because someone else has got a market share and they're gaining shares on you, you You think, well, we'll just do away with it and come up with a brand new one. Absolutely stupid. New Coke was introduced on April 23rd, 1985. Production of the original formulation ended later that week. In many areas, New Coke was initially sold in original Coke packaging. Bottlers used up remaining cans, cartons, and the labels before new packaging became widely available. Old cans containing New Coke was identified by their gold-colored tops, while glass and plastic bottles had red caps instead of silver or white, respectively. Bright yellow stickers indicated the change were placed on the cartons of multi-packs. So they started out in New York City's Lincoln Center to introduce the new formula, and it did not go well. Reporters had already been fed questions by Pepsi, which was worried the New Coke would erase its gains. So it turned into this big fight between both of them. Then what Coke did was Coke pissed off the actual Coke drinkers. So then after about 90 days, they said, you know what? This shit ain't going to work.
Ain't working.
Nope. So then they went ahead and they brung back the New Coke. So we had Coke Classic and we had New Coke. And it didn't work out very well for them. So anyways, it even pissed off Fidel Castro.
Oh.
Yep. A longtime Coke drinker contributed to the backlash, calling New Coke a sign of American capitalist decadence. And Gonzaga, who was with Coca-Cola, was a Cuban immigrant. His father was a Cuban immigrant, said it was the only time his father had agreed with Castro in his whole life, and he had fled Cuba to survive. He said that's the only time he'd ever agreed with him. So it didn't work out good for him. But anyways, that was my event that took place on April 23rd, was the New Coke. My person who was born in Vernon, Texas. Your wife's family's from Vernon, Texas. Who's the most famous person from Vernon, Texas? A little quicker, Andy.
Well, there's no signs as you drive into Vernon, so they're not that proud of them. Is it a rodeo guy?
No.
Not a rodeo guy?
No.
Most famous man in Vernon, Texas.
I'll give you a hint.
Okay.
He was a singer. He wrote music. He sang.
That doesn't help me at all.
Van Halen took his biggest hit and redone it and made it a huge hit on the Diver Down album.
Nope.
He sang in a band with, I want to make sure I get all the names right. I just saw it just a minute ago. Called the Traveling Wilburys.
Don't know. I'll never guess.
His name was Roy Orbison. Pretty Woman.
Pretty Woman.
Yep.
They should do more for Roy. He doesn't even have a street named after him in Vernon.
He was born there, then he moved.
Oh.
Kind of like Greg Abbott was born in Wichita Falls, but he grew up in Longview. So anyways, Orbison's father, he was born in Vernon, Texas, second of three sons to Orby Lee Orbison and Nadine Vesta Schultz. His father was an oilfield driller who struggled to find work after the Great Depression. And his mother enjoyed painting and writing poetry. So anyways, they moved in the oil field. They moved around. Orbison's father gave him a guitar on his 6th birthday, and he was taught how to play it by his father and older brother. Orbison recalled, I was finished, for anything else by the time he was 7, and music became the focus of his life. They said he was not very athletic. So this was his way of getting around. So they moved to Wink, Texas, and he started a band there and called Wink and the Westerners. 13 years old, formed his first band, Wink and the Westerners. He bounced around all over. Then he had a talent contest in 1953 in Midland, Texas, and the group won the contest, resulting in a 30-minute spot on a local television show. At the show, Orbison asked the owner of the company sponsoring the show if he could sponsor the group for ongoing shows, which led to the Wink Westerners playing weekly shows on KMID TV on Friday nights and the Odessa television KOSA. It was around that time that Orbison began dyeing his hair. It used to be gray and it was jet black. After graduating high school in 1954, Orbison enrolled at North Texas State College in Denton, started playing more music. And then his schoolmate was Pat Boone, and I did not know Pat Boone went to North Texas State, had signed a record deal. So anyways, he went off and decided he was going to go to Nashville. Well, when he got to Nashville, he had a song called the Ooby Dooby was the name of it, which was recorded in Clovis, New Mexico. It was published by an Odessa-based startup label, GWA, and the B-side of G-Will, 101 single, was that song. After Ooby Dooby was published, he ended up, what happened was he bought out this Ooby Dooby, this Jewel contract, and he got with Sam Phillips. Sam Phillips' Sun Records would sign up to record Ooby Dooby, but the events that led to this are disputed. Some claim that Johnny Cash toured the Odessa area in 55 and 56, appearing on the same show as Roy Orbison's band. Cash stated in the late 55, early 56, I was touring with Elvis when I met Roy Orbison in Texas. I told him to get in touch with Sun Records if he wants to be a recording artist. Orbison has said that when he did this, Phillips told him, Johnny Cash doesn't run my record company. However, both Sam Phillips and Billy Pat Ellis, the band's drummer, have disputed that Johnny Cash was involved. 3 of the Teen Kings band members have said their relationship with Sun Records began with when Odessa record store owner Papa Holland played it over the telephone to Sam Phillips in 56, and Phillips offered the Teen Kings a contract. That was her name now, was the Teen Kings. So they went to the Sun Studio in Memphis, which is where Elvis Presley got his start. You know, they had back then you could pay $2, $1.95, and you could record an album or a song.
Oh, wow.
Elvis saved up $1.95, went down there and sang a song for his mom and made a record out of it. Sam Phillips was wanting to have a black band. Mm-hmm. That was the new thing right now, is the way the black bands had more soul and more, more, it was better music. So what he was doing was he was looking for this, and he heard, and his secretary said, you've got to listen to this guy. Because Elvis Presley sounded like a black guy when he sang.
Right.
And that's where Elvis came. But Elvis signed with Sun Studio or Sun Records in Memphis. Colonel Tom, they bought out, went to RCA, and the rest is history. But anyways, so Roy Orbison had went to Memphis, and he got in with, he met Elvis Presley. So Sun Records had left, Elvis Presley left, so then they went to Carl Perkins. And then they had Roy Orbison, and Roy Orbison had a couple of big hits. Then he went on, he was a real pain in the ass to deal with. And he would bounce back and forth, but he had a big thing for Cadillacs. So every time he'd get a song out and they'd get all the royalties, he'd go buy him a Cadillac. Then he'd be broke in 3 months, 6 months. He'd go live with his in-laws again or his parents. Then he'd have another big hit and get a bunch of money up front. And he'd go buy him another Cadillac. And that's what he would do. But anyways, he wrote some big songs, and he became a big, big star. And one of his first big hits was Only the Lonely, which came out in the 60s. He toured with the Stones. He went all over Nashville. He was he had a hell of a career. Ended up dying in Hawaii at 52 years old.
Not a bad place to die.
Nope. But Pretty Woman began with collaborating with Bill Dees, whom he had known in Texas. With Dees, he wrote It's Over. When Claudette walked the room, which is his wife, where Dees and Orbison were writing to say she was headed for Nashville, Orbison asked if she had any money. Dees said, a pretty woman never needs any money. Just 40 minutes later, Oh Pretty Woman was written, and that's where they wrote it from. Roy Orbison is the only American artist to have a #1 single in Britain. He did it twice with It's Over and Oh Pretty Woman on October 8th. The latter also wanted to be #1 American, making Orbison impervious to the current chart dominance of British artists on both sides of the Atlantic. Anyways, so he did. He got to the Traveling Wilburys, and he sang with Bob Dylan, sang with everybody. But anyways, he was born in Vernon, Texas. Now, a person that died this day, I'm going to give you one. I'm going to say one thing. I'm going to see if you can guess who it is.
Okay, I'm ready.
He can go all the way. He's going to go all the way.
Don't know.
Oh, come on now. He was an announcer.
Well, I know that.
Monday Night Football.
I know that also. I don't know who said it, though.
Howard Cosell.
Oh, okay.
If you'd have grown up when I did in the 70s, you had Don Meredith, Frank Gifford, and Howard Cosell. And Howard Cosell and Don Meredith did not get along. And he didn't like Frank Gifford much either. He did not think athletes should be announcers.
Oh.
He was an attorney turned an announcer. He was a big Ali guy. He called all the big fights. Mm-hmm. He started out doing Little League in New York City, and he got in with ABC, and he did it free for a long time, and then he became a big time, just the #1 announcer. He rose to prominence in the early 60s, covering boxer Muhammad Ali, beginning from time he fought under his birth name, Cassius Clay. The two seemed to have an affinity despite their different personalities and complemented each other in broadcast. Cosell was one of the first sportscasters to refer to the boxer as Muhammad Ali after he changed his name, and supported him when he refused to be inducted into the military. Cosell was also an outspoken supporter of Olympic sprinters John Carlos and Tommy Smith after they raised their fist as Black Power during the 68 medal ceremonies in Mexico City. What's funny is he done all this stuff for black people, and guess why he lost his job?
To a black guy.
Nope.
Affirmative action.
Nope.
Oh, run, monkey, run.
My favorite football team, the Washington Redskins, had a receiver named Alvin Garrett. Alvin Garrett was about 5'8", 170. He ran a couple of kicks back.
Right.
And he said, look at that little monkey run.
Right.
Alvin Garrett come out and spoke positive of Howard Cosell. Muhammad Ali did, but that's what cost him his career.
Got to be careful.
They also come out with a video where there was a white football player that was 5'8", about the same size. And he said, look at that little monkey run here. But they didn't. That was just, he called his grandson's little monkey.
Right.
So anyways, Howard Cosell was my person who died today. So that is my today for April the 23rd in the great country of the United States of America.
Watch for deer.
Bye.